All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for being part of this evening's presentation. My name is Liz Brochu. I'm the Senior Director of Training, Education, and Programs at Communities for Alcohol and Drug-Free Youth, also known as CADY. And I'm also the Certified Prevention Specialist for Central New Hampshire. Um, Connection is a human nature, and we're here to help in any way we can. So we're not supposed to parent alone. We're really not supposed to do a lot alone. So that's why we're here tonight. So I want to give a quick shout out to the school administrators and staff who help to raise awareness of community services and resources in our region. We couldn't do this vital work without you. So thank you so much for all you do with us. So our goal tonight for this evening is to raise awareness of current drug threats facing our communities and discuss protective factors, the family supports and tips and strategies for social emotional awareness and resources from local, regional, and statewide agencies. So we'll try our best to answer questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat just to remember them. There is a lot of information we're going to be going over tonight. And we will follow up with an email afterwards for everyone who is present. And all the resources will be available on the CADY website, findwellnh.org, as well as the Whole Village website. So don't worry, you will be able to find all these resources when you need them. All right. So now I would like to have Erin and Megan introduce themselves. So go ahead. Go ahead, ladies.
Hi, my name is Erin. I work over here at Whole Village Family Resource Center in Plymouth. I'm actually subcontracted here. I work for Lakes Region Community Services. I'm a kinship navigator, family support specialist. I teach parent ed. We run some play groups throughout the week. We do a family fun night. We do a little bit of everything here, but I have a good connection with our community and happy to see everybody here.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for the collaboration. Thank you, Erin. My name is Megan Woods. I work alongside with Erin Pratt, Erin Yeoman, family support specialist, kinship navigator, community health worker, and parent educator. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you both for being here. This is absolutely awesome. All right. So before we start tonight, I want to just take a moment to address that parenting is a 24/7 job with no pay and really no benefits other than just being awesome, having awesome kids at the end of the day, right? And when we feel like we've figured it all out, the next day, moods or needs or even that the balance changes. And so we feel like we have to start at square one again. So it can seem impossible at times, but on those good days, that reward is priceless. I always think back to those commercials of at the end, something is priceless. And that's really what this is. We're living something that is wonderful. But it is very difficult. So first, let's check in with our first resource I did send out this morning. This is our What's Our Message quiz. And so if you did not get this, it is going to be in the packet of resources that will be sent your way. But this quiz is really a fun way to understand a baseline of our parenting style and what messages we are actually sending to our kiddos. Whoopsie, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. So thank you for those who took the time prior to this evening to review What's Your Message. And please share this because this is a really great opportunity for people to really see what kind of messages they're sending as well as their kids' friends. What kind of messages are we sending to our children's friends? So take a look at that and share it widely, please. All right. Moving on. So just a little bit about CADY. CADY, Communities for Alcohol and Drug-Free Youth, is a nonprofit with a primary prevention mission, and we are in our 25th year of operation. So we're based in Plymouth, and we serve Central New Hampshire region, which includes 18 surrounding towns in Lincoln, Woodstock area, Newfound, and the Pemmy Baker regions. So our mission is to prevent and reduce youth and young adult substance misuse through promotion of healthy environments and building protective factors and the reduction of risk factors. So CADY has many high impact programs, and all of them are 100% science-based and in collaboration with our partners. So earlier this year, we set our annual theme as Together We Build Promising Futures. So our community is built around the well-being of children and prioritizes health and safety. So this is CADY's #1 priority in our collective responsibility. So I encourage you all to take time to look at our offered programs on our website. And I also will have our programs in the resource packet for you as well. All right. So prevention in general can sometimes appear vague, but it's actually quite simple. Primary prevention is simply preventing the problem before it starts. And prevention begins with awareness of healthy choices and consequences of the high-risk choices. So we're going to watch a quick video, and this video is called Age Matters. And it really talks about the continuum of the development of the brain from infancy all the way through age 25. So let's take a look at this.
Age matters. The adolescent brain is way more vulnerable to drugs and alcohol than in adults. The earlier someone starts using substances, the greater their chances of developing an addiction are. 90% of people with a substance use disorder began using drugs and alcohol before the age of 18. 90%. So what does this mean? Age matters. Prevention is about delaying the onset of first use, pushing it back as long as possible, whether that's alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, which are the most commonly used substances by teens. Early use of alcohol or drugs can greatly harm brain development and increases the risk of developing an addiction later in life. Protecting the brain during this time is vital, as the adolescent brain is rapidly developing, learning and changing all the time. The adolescent brain can learn a new language or an instrument much quicker than an adult's brain can, and can also be damaged way more easily than an adult's can. The brain continues to develop until a person is in their early to mid-20s, with the regions of the brain that control emotions and impulse control among the last to develop. So be smart. Protect your brain.
All right. So we just saw how prevention is pushing off. It's really making sure that those harmful things that could happen don't happen. So I do want to elaborate a little bit more about the adolescent brain and how substance use can be very damaging to the adolescent brain. So this chart represents the surge of drug use from ages 12 to 20. This pink elliptical that we're seeing shows the escalation of drug use in the teen years. And according to CASA, the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, 9 out of 10 individuals who struggle with addiction began drinking, smoking, or using other drugs, including marijuana, before they turn 18 years of age. So this is important because if we can prevent youth substance use, we can prevent addiction and save many, many lives. All right, so this is one of my favorite slides here. So adolescence is like driving a car with a sensitive gas pedal and bad brakes. And that's exactly what it is. Adolescence is an important time for our brain development. By the age of 6, the brain reaches approximately 90% of its adult size. That's incredible. And by age 12, the brain has grown about 2 billion brain cells. So that is just mind-boggling. So from 12, so when we're hitting puberty to about the age of 25, the brain really reorganizes all those neurons into more complex and efficient pathways. So there's a lot of pruning going on in adolescence. But once we start talking about the adolescent brain and high-risk behavior, things can get really complicated. And to really understand the adolescent brain, we need to talk about 2 specific parts of the brain, the limbic system and the frontal lobe. And I want to thank Dr. Crystal Collier. She is brilliant for really breaking this information down into layman's terms. And in her book, The Neuro Whereabouts, I recommend everyone have this. It's very thick, but I recommend everyone get this this book. It is just, it breaks everything down to simple terms. And she really talks about the limbic system being like an accelerator or gas pedal because it's emotionally charged and it's reward seeking. So the adolescent brain develops the limbic system or the accelerator by age 11 or 12. So if this is gone unregulated by engaging in risky behavior like substance use or other unhealthy risks, this can interfere with healthy brain development. The frontal lobe, or what Dr. Collier says, the brake, is where our cognitive processing happenings and rational thinking, impulse control, and that's where our executive functioning happens. And this, not surprising, is the last part of the brain to develop. So that's really in that mid-20s, that 25 years of age. So adolescents don't have a foot on the brake pedal yet. And what's ironic is that the adolescent brain is wired to take risks because of that fully developed limbic system. So it's emotional and it's intense, the adolescent brain. And it's our job as trusted adults and parents to help them slow down and think about the consequences, knowing that they don't have that brake pedal under control yet. Or even help them choose healthy risks like rock climbing, snowboarding, or even whitewater rafting. So really, sometimes the parents and caring adults really need to be our kids' frontal lobes, right? So I do want to show you another chart. This chart really represents the journey through life, the ups and downs. It's from childhood to adolescence to adulthood. And the line represents all those ups and downs along the way. When we go into schools and we do in-school curriculum and show this image to the kids, it really makes sense to them. They feel those extremes happening in adolescence. So they're feeling those extremes, highs and lows. And they talk about how quickly things can go from good to really bad. So it really makes sense to them, and their brains are growing and changing, and they're trying to figure things out. It's a really confusing time. The limbic system is emotional. It's intense, and there's a lot of decisions are going to be based on their emotions and not really thinking about it. So they're going to be pretty quick to decide some probably not so thought out decisions. So this is a very normal part of growing up, and we can encourage this process and help them sort through that confusion. And although this can be painful to watch as a parent, our kids really need to feel that discomfort. We need to help them by giving them that safe home or that safe person to come back and breathe. And adolescence is a bumpy ride. I'm sure that we all remember some of those roller coasters that we went through. Our bodies are growing and learning how to regulate those natural hormones and chemicals. this is really normal to see those extremes in highs and lows. And it's not fun for either child or parent during these normal healthy extremes. And we both learn a lot. All right, so I would love to share this video with you. Erin and Megan and I were cracking up on this. It's very it's extreme thinking. It's definitely a young girl who's pre-adolescence. So let's take a look at this young lady. All right. All right. So as we can see, this young girl is demonstrating extreme thinking. All right, so it's a roller coaster ride for parents. And the beginning of the video was cut off a little bit, but the young girl was not smiling during the rehearsal, and she just did not want to be there. So the mom was like, "Oh, why don't you smile more?" So with that extreme thinking, she took it to a whole new level. So it's really not our job to ride their roller coaster, but help them navigate their ride and just enjoying the scenery along the way, because this is just such an incredible memory for that mom. And I'm so glad she got that on video. All right, so ultimately, we all want to prevent harm and protect our children. However, as natural as the adolescent roller coaster is, once drugs are introduced, kids can experience extremes that will make it very hard for their bodies and brains to readjust and develop fully and healthfully. So any substance use in adolescence can rewire the natural body and brain functions and lead to addictions. And addiction is often referred to as the disease of adolescence because of the vulnerability of the developing brain. All right, so this next video is a phenomenal resource, and it helps to understand why it's important for parents to work alongside schools and community resources. Prevention of youth substance use is everyone's business, and it's pretty much saying we need parents' help. I'm not going to show this video because of the time, but it is a 5-minute video. It will be available for you to watch in the resource packet we'll be emailing. So I'd like to say that all of our children are doing well, but sadly, we know that that's not the case. 2 years ago, U.S. Surgeon General Murthy issued an advisory on youth mental health, calling attention to this urgent public health crisis. He said that mental health challenges in children, adolescents, and young adults are real and widespread. And even before the pandemic, an alarming number of young people struggled with feelings of hopelessness, depression, and thoughts of suicide. And the rates have increased over the past decade. The pandemic's effect on their mental health has been devastating. So we are really seeing this in our own backyard. With too many kids waiting in the hospital ERs across the state for many limited beds, or for very, very limited beds at Hampstead Hospital. And tragically, addiction is stealing the lives of our young people. So the question really is why? Why is this happening? The problems are very real and very scary. And to begin to solve this problem, we need to know why behind the struggle and strife. This slide was released by the CDC to illustrate the risk multiplier effect of multiple substances to the opioid addiction that's happening right now. So as you can see, science tells us that someone with a cannabis use disorder is 3 times more likely to be addicted to opioids. So we need to move beyond the normalization of marijuana, including edibles, and open our eyes to the dangers of high potency THC. So with more high-risk choices comes increased risk for more problems. And for many, one of the health problems that people are experiencing with high-risk substance use are mental health issues. So certainly people who use alcohol and other drugs may be self-medicating for emotional issues. However, often high-risk use leads to more depression and anxiety, and abstinence leads to less depression and anxiety. So it's really important for us to have these conversations with our youth, because if they don't know this, they're not going to understand that maybe they're experiencing anxiety or depression because of substance use. All right. So we typically see low perception of risk when high-risk choices are accepted or encouraged by social groups. So you can see in this chart that low perception of risk of harm leads to increased daily use. So in the, let me see, like in the 1989, in the early 90s, there was a high perception of risk and a low daily use of marijuana. But as you can see over time, perception of risk has declined, and that daily use has increased. So if everyone in our group, our social group, is making high risk choices, that behavior is going to become normalized, and most won't see that potential for harm. Or if they do experience maybe an arrest or problems, they're not going to see it as abnormal as if everyone else is experiencing the same problems. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly or briefly talk about several substances that are trending in the central region, as well as statewide and nationally, and on the most of our children's radar already. So especially the preteens and teens. So Central New Hampshire, we're going to talk a little bit about marijuana. Central New Hampshire, their Youth Risk Behavior Survey, also known as the YRBS, this data showed that youth in our region are higher in sadness, hopelessness, and suicidal ideation than statewide averages, which is already too high. Their use of THC products is so significantly higher that it's actually quite concerning. Marijuana is a blind spot of our day. Many will not see the danger until it's too late. And its science-based evidence points to high potency THC as being a serious risk factor for youth mental health and addiction. So in 2019, the Surgeon General stated, no amount of marijuana use during adolescence is known to be safe. Recent increases in access and in potency, along with misperception of safety, endangers our most precious resource, our nation's youth. So THC is another form of child endangerment right now. So we have seen toddlers in THC-induced comas in our local hospital, Spear Hospital's ER, after ingesting high-potency gummies, and our teens are actually vaping at high potency THC levels. So this is something that we need to be thinking about. In a recent American Heart Association study, which was published February 2024, so last month, it has been found that marijuana use is linked to higher risk of heart attack and stroke. So people who use it most frequently had the highest odds. And adults who use marijuana daily had a 25% higher odd of having a heart attack and 42% higher odds of stroke than people who didn't use it at all. So smoking was the most common method of the cannabis use, followed by eating or vaping it. So this is not just dangerous for youth anymore. It's also the perceived risk is now we need to be aware and spread that awareness that the risk is there even for adults. All right, so vaping is another drug trend and a serious problem when it is present in our communities, which it is. And research shows that many teens and young adults don't realize that the flavors they use while vaping actually contain nicotine. And many vapes also contain many chemicals and other compounds with unknown side effects. So as a result, people who vape, even just the flavoring, may inhale and ingest potentially harmful chemicals. So recent studies really show that students who have already used any type of e-cigarette by the time they started 9th grade were more likely than others to start smoking cigarettes and other smokable smokable tobacco products within the next year. So that's, yeah. So this graph shows the percentage of youth in the central region in 2019. So this is really focusing on that vaping. And this was the YRBS data. And this is representing the central New Hampshire, and it's only really taking the Pemmy-Baker and the Newfound regions. But these electronic cigarettes that they were using were Juul. So in 2019, that was a very popular electronic cigarette. So keep in mind that this is pre-COVID. And as you can see, Central New Hampshire has the highest rate of youth use of electronic cigarettes in all of New Hampshire, that 43.2%. Unfortunately, this scary trend is seen with many other substances as well. So that's something we need to be focused on this so we can start thinking about solutions, and that's exactly what we try to do with prevention. So another thing when we're talking about vaping, it's not just nicotine and flavored pods that our youth are using. They're also vaping high potency THC. Other vaping products can also cause harm. In 2020, thousands of people got sick and dozens died from an illness called EVALI, which stands for e-cigarette or vaping use associated lung injury. And that's the vitamin E acetate, and that's an additive in some of the THC containing vaping products. It's strongly linked to the EVALI. So when heated and inhaled, that vitamin E acetate can damage the lungs. All right. So as youth e-cigarette use remains a public health concern, with 2.5 million middle and high school students reporting e-cigarette use in 2022. A different type of flavored nicotine product is gaining popularity, and these are oral nicotine pouches, and they're called Zyn, and other products are called On! and Velo. So with cigarette smoking on the decline, tobacco companies have shifted focus to smokeless tobacco products, including these oral nicotine pouches. So these new oral nicotine pouches contain a nicotine powder instead of tobacco leaf. And due to the absence of tobacco leaf, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, does not classify oral nicotine pouches as smokeless tobacco products. However, nicotine pouches do contain nicotine, which is harmful to young people in any form. And these nicotine pouch products actually contain higher concentration of nicotine. Right. Alcohol. The easiest place for kids to get beer is right next to the milk. And alcohol consumption has always been and remains the #1 public health concern for youth in the United States where prevention is concerned. It could be that many people don't really want to talk about it because it's a low perception of risk, or belief that it's a rite of passage for youth to use, or the legal status downplays the risk. But remember, back to that perception of risk chart, the less perception of risk, the more youth use. All right. So in plain truth, alcohol is a drug and it's an addictive substance. Youth are not drinking in low risk quantities. When adolescent youth and young adults drink alcohol, they drink in a high risk quantity to feel that impairment, which is defined as binge drinking. So binge drinking is a pattern of alcohol consumption that involves drinking a lot in a short period of time. So that binge drinking for females, it's 4 or more drinks in 2 hours. For males, it's 5 or more drinks in 2 hours. But now what we're seeing is more high intensity drinking. So high intensity drinking is a dangerous alcohol consumption that involves double the binge drinking number of alcoholic beverages within those 2 hours. So females, that high intensity drinking is 8 or more drinks in 2 hours. And for males, it's 10 or more drinks in 2 hours. So high risk drinking has evolved. As a result, we're seeing more serious problems involving alcohol, like alcohol poisoning, cirrhosis of the liver, and early deaths in our young adult population. All right. So we're going to start shifting gears and going to prescription drugs now. The non-medical use of prescription drugs ranks second only to marijuana as the most common form of drug misuse in America. And the majority of teens misusing prescription drugs get them from family, their friends, or from a home medicine cabinet. And that could be a friend's or family member medicine cabinet. So it's really important to keep medications and potentially dangerous substances in a secure location and out of the hands of children. And when needed, dispose of them properly to help to prevent prescription drug diversion. And also our local PDs have a prescription drug disposal box in their lobbies. Most of them do. So you can prevent drug diversion by taking unused meds to the box, which is pretty exciting because we can be part of that solution. So there's also a drug take back day coming up on Saturday, April 27th, and many local PDs participate in that event. Another way we can prevent prescription drug diversion is having a prescription drug storage box at home. So this is a lock box to put all the boxes in. We also have medication, the bottles that lock as well. And these boxes are available at the CADY office, and we can make them available at Whole Village as well. All right. So another way to prevent drug diversion are doTERRA drug deactivation bags, which offer a safe way to dispose of prescription medications at home. So by putting your prescription drugs in the bag, adding water, sealing it, and shaking the bag, the drugs are rendered inactive, and the bag can be thrown away in a regular household trash. And it may not look it, but it's also a green initiative. And you can get these free from CADY or Whole Village. We'll drop a huge box off for you guys. So stop by anytime. All right. So now we're going to talk a little bit about counterfeit prescription drug pills. 2 years ago, the DEA issued a public safety alert warning Americans of an alarming increase in availability of fake prescription pills, and many which were commonly misused by teens, including Oxycontin, Vicodin, Xanax, and Adderall. So these counterfeit pills are stamped to look like the original medication, but have been found to contain fentanyl and methamphetamine. And they are in our communities, so we need to be aware of this. As you can see, this photo is a little bit blurry, but on this photo, that small dose of fentanyl right next to the penny, that is a fatal dose. So really talk to your kids about prescription drug safety and to not take any pills unless they are given to them by you, their doctor, or a school nurse. All right. So the DEA created this campaign to really encourage the use of social media to help raise public awareness of a significant nationwide surge of counterfeit pills that are mass produced in labs. So we're going to watch this video by John Delina, and he is number 2 in the DEA, and really just a wonderful guy.
In my I've never seen in my 28 years, and I've been all over the world for DEA, I've never seen a drug as lethal as fentanyl. And we've never seen the damage done to all of our communities and all of our families that fentanyl is doing right now. And that's why it's so important for me to get out and talk about this as much as I possibly can. The 2 cartels who are causing all of this misery are the Jalisco cartel and the Sinaloa cartel. And they're mass producing fentanyl at rates like we've never seen before because it's a synthetic drug now. They don't need plants anymore. They're just getting chemicals from China, and they're mass producing fentanyl in dirty laboratories in Mexico, and then they're bringing it into all of our communities. And they're doing it in the form of powder, but the most insidious way that they're doing it is they're manufacturing pills to look identical to a pharmaceutical grade pill, and they want everybody to take those pills. They don't want to kill everybody. What they want to do is addict every single one of us. That's their goal. And if they kill 112,000 Americans like they did in the last 12 months, it doesn't matter to them because there's hundreds of millions of more Americans behind them that they just will try to addict. The other thing with these pills you have to understand is these are not real pills laced with fentanyl. It is an entirely fake pill made with nothing but fentanyl. 7 out of 10 pills that we seize contain a potentially deadly dose of fentanyl. Just 2 milligrams, enough to fit in the tip of pencils, enough to kill every one of us. We seized 78 million pills last year. That's what we seized. We also seized 12,000 pounds of powder. So if you do the math, that's enough to kill 389 million Americans. So when I say they're not moved by how much death and destruction that they cause because they're driven by nothing but greed and their goal is to addict every one of us, that's why it's so important that we get out and we deliver this message wherever we can. Anybody that's out there spreading this message, particularly to young people, we have to tell them why, we have to educate them so that when they're faced with it, and they will be faced with it, they can make a good, safe, healthy decision.
So I know this can be very scary, and that is the really scary part of the progression of addiction. But that is why we're all here, is to raise the awareness. Exactly what John Delina said. We have that responsibility, and we have that power to raise that awareness and prevent these things from happening. So please, this video as well as the information will be in the resource packet as well. All right, another scary drug trend that is coming around our communities right now is xylazine. So what is xylazine and why do we need to know about it? Xylazine is a veterinary tranquilizer that is not approved for human use and really has emerged as a contaminant in opioid drug supply in 2019. So when used in combination with an opioid, it's known to prolong that euphoric and sedative effect of that opioid intoxication. So if naloxone, that the naloxone is the overdose reversal drug for opioids. If naloxone is needed in an overdose situation, it will not work if the xylazine is present in that overdose. So xylazine may also be present in an illicit manufactured drug, such as heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and pressed pills. So youth may be exposed to xylazine through accidental or intentional consumption of illicit substances. So it's really important to note that xylazine is often consumed unintentionally and cannot be detected by smelling or touching or seeing that substance. All right, so we're going to switch gears now. We have been talking a lot about risks and threats, but now we want to really focus on solutions. kids have 3 spheres of influence in their lives: the family, school, and community. And if we want nurturing and stabilizing environments for our kids, we all need to be on the same page with our messaging and our actions. So act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. Protecting youth mental health and preventing youth substance use and building resilience in our kids requires an all hands on deck. So we're going to talk a little bit about risk and protective factors. So what are risk and protective factors? Risk factors are characteristics at the biological, psychological, family, community, or cultural level that precede and are associated with higher likelihood of negative outcomes. All right. Protective factors are characteristics associated with lower likelihood of negative outcomes or that reduce the risk of factors impact. All right, so that's like the science-based that's the explanation scientifically, right? So why don't we look at some examples? All right, so those risk factors, we want to reduce those risk factors, okay? So those risk factors would be family history of substance use, poor parental monitoring, lack of school connectedness. All right, so those are some risk factors that could impact a youth. But the protective factors, that's what we want to focus on. That's what we want to strengthen. All right, that's parental monitoring and support, parental disapproval of substance use, positive relationships, good grades, engagement in healthy recreational activities, and also good coping skills, just to name a few. All right. So now I would love to share this video with you. This is an incredible video showing protective factors at work right here.
I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike one. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike two. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike three. Wow! I'm the greatest pitcher in the world! Yes!
Optimism. Pass it on.
All right, so one of the most powerful protective factors against substance use is resilience. And disappointment and stressors are inevitable. It's a natural part of life. And as we saw in the adolescent journey through the ups and downs, our kids are going to feel these stressors at extreme levels, and it's difficult. But when we build the resilience, or something I like to call the struggle muscle, we build kids up so life's challenges won't tear them down. So the young boy in that video definitely fostered resilience, or the struggle muscle. But more importantly, it's empowering the growth mindset and really helping our kids learn from failure and see opportunities to thrive. They need our help with that. So one of my favorite people and my favorite professors was the late Dr. Marie Ross, and she developed this responsibility scale. And she used to share this with all the students, the middle school students. At every age is a responsibility percentage. And the older the child gets, the more responsibility that child has. So ideally, when the adolescent reaches 18 years old, they will be responsible for 100%, maybe 90 to 100% of their needs, right? However, some young adult skills are lacking today. So being able to really empower our children to set the table at age 5 or do their laundry at age 10 can give an opportunity to not only give them life skills, but develop boundaries and a growth mindset. So this skill may also show a visual of responsibility and capacity of having maybe a phone. So if the child is not responsible for washing dishes or picking up after themselves, maybe they're not ready for a phone. All right. So kids thrive with structure, even if they say they don't want it. So as parents, we have to provide healthy and safe boundaries for them to butt up against and ask questions. And parents can set boundaries with their children by teaching kids to express their opinions and needs in a respectful manner, being clear about the absolute no-go zone, being consistent, following through on consequences and bad behavior, having patience, and modeling good boundary setting ourselves. And setting boundary teaches our children how to protect themselves both physically and emotionally. All right. Silence isn't always golden. So it's probably not just going to be coming up, this conversation about kids using drugs. So that those risks probably aren't just going to pop out of nowhere. And since you're the parent, it begins with you. And the good news is that a little practice and a little preparation, you'll be able to find it's the conversation not only gets easier, but it's one that also can save lives. So talk early and talk often. And parents are the most powerful influence on their teens when it comes to drug use. So it's really up to us to be proactive and use that influence early and often. All right. So as I said earlier, we're not meant to do this hard job alone. Parenting and raising kids today, grandparents, parenting a second time around, whomever is raising these kids today, it's difficult. And we have been talking a lot about what we need to do for our kids. And one of the most important things to do is put that oxygen mask on first and reach out and find support for ourselves. So we need support, and that's okay. So now we're going to start building that village, and Megan and Aaron will now provide information about family support resources that Whole Village offers for free in our communities for families now. So go ahead, you two.
Thank you, Liz. So Whole Village is owned by Granite United Way. And you can go to the next slide. Oh, one more. Or jumped ahead. And there's 15 partner agencies. So they all pay rent inside of Whole Village. Most of them are nonprofits. There's the Bridge House, Grafton County Alternative Sentencing, Grafton County Child Advocacy Center, Grow and Thrive Counseling, Head Start Preschool, Aaron Clayson Orr, Lakes Region Community Services, Archways Peer Support. They just joined us last month. New Hampshire Works, which is an employment security program, Pemmy Baker Literacy, Step Ahead Home Visiting Program, Transport Central, UNH Cooperative Extension, Nutrition Connections, and WIC. WIC is there every other Friday. And this is what Aaron and I do, Whole Village Family Support. So we offer case management, which is home visiting, strength-based goals. We can help with IEPs, resource and referrals. We do a kinship navigation program, which supports families raising children that are not biologically theirs. So it's your aunts, your uncles, grandparents is raising their relatives. We offer play groups every Tuesday from 9:30 to 10:30. We offer a snack, a story, and a fun activity. This is all free, by the way. Family fun nights, we meet quarterly. We have a backpack drive in September. We have summer camp supplies. Usually around June, we'll send an email or it'll be on Facebook. We offer parent ed classes. That's one of our favorites. And we're going to offer parent cafes this summer, which will be a topic based on the interests of the community, whether it's vaping or social media. It will all come together at Whole Village.
This is our service area. So like Liz talked about earlier, Plymouth and the surrounding 18 towns. These are the towns that we support. We do a lot of home visiting. So if you or you know of somebody that needs some extra support, but transportation can be a barrier. Don't let it deter them from connecting with us and, making that appointment and coming onto our caseload, because we can do case management or other services through home visiting. And come this fall, we're going to offer our parent education hybrid. So you'll be able to attend parent ed minus the childcare and dinner virtually. So we hope that will attract some families that maybe it's the transportation barrier, maybe it's just the time and trying to parent and bedtime and homework and all that good stuff that is a deterrent. So this is our map. And then we offer, so we're going to kind of dig into our parent ed. We offer the nurturing skills curriculum, and this is offered throughout the school year. So we start in September. We're getting ready to end mid-April. We have 4 modules, and we're going to work our way through those. And each module has an orientation. You only attend orientation once. It's a 5-week class. If you're in person with us, which we have been, it's dinner is at 5:30 at Whole Village. You come, you eat with us for free. We have childcare for the 2 hours that it takes to get through the curriculum. We have childcare workers in a playroom. The kids always seem to love to go and never want to leave, which is nice. Any leftovers we usually pack up, send home with families. It's a nice way to get people around a table and have a conversation based on the curriculum that we share. So developing empathy and self-awareness, the importance of empathy and techniques for managing feelings, anger, and stress, applicable to children of all ages. So we're going to start from birth all the way up through. The 3 key components of empathy and nurturing parenting is the way parents discipline their children, the way parents respond to the emotions of children, and the ability of parents to be aware of their children's needs and to help children get those needs met. Because we always know in the moment, it can be extremely stressful. So kind of being able to step back and evaluate the situation and then dive in is always helpful.
This is one of my favorite slides ever. It's nurturing versus hurting skills. So we do dive deep into like nurturing, like how we were nurtured as a children compared to how we want to nurture our child. So when we're at a 10, when the children's needs are getting met and we're set up for successful environments, like there's no hurting for that child. Their self-worth is there. And as you go down the slope, typically we're all not at a 10 100% of the time. So when we're 8 or 9, you can see below is there 1 or 2 that the children are hurting. And between the stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And on our response lies our growth and freedom. That is one of my favorite slides. These are I statements. It helps with confrontation versus criticism. And you can do it with adults. You can do it with your children. Instead of like pointing fingers at them, I'm going to do an example here. So I feel, so if I'm talking to an adult, I feel frustrated. This is going to be my husband. Hopefully he's not watching. No, I feel frustrated when you cannot help get our son ready in the morning. Because it's overwhelming and I can't get myself ready too. So what I need is you to help him pack his lunch as well. And it works. So then they know your feelings, and you could do it as a child with your child too. I feel scared and nervous when you don't come home when I tell you to, because I'm nervous and I don't know where you are. What I need is for you to check in every 20 minutes. So you want to keep telling them your feelings, how you feel, acknowledge how you feel. There's 3 different ways to do it, but tips for helping children handle their feelings. Let the children know that their feelings are okay. Always talk about it. Label the feeling. I see that you're upset right now because you can't pick out a toy at the store. Encourage your children to talk about how they're feeling. Ask questions, but don't tell your children not to feel that way. Brainstorm what, if anything, can be done, honor children's desires, and teach children appropriate ways to express their emotional energy. So if they're screaming and crying and they're hitting things, teach them different ways. We dive deep into this in each curriculum, but praise your children when they express their feelings appropriately, so then they know what to expect.
This is your favorite, Meg.
I can keep going. I know. I keep going. I love all these slides. So this is during a routine with children. You want to be happy and pleasant, praise, gentle touch, sense of caring, fun, and humor. Like waking your child up in the morning or getting ready to leave the house. You want to be happy. Give them 5 minutes. And if they get up, get ready, praise them, high five them, say how good they did leaving when they were told. The more they feel good, the better they're going to do. And you got to add humor into everything.
All right, so we have positive discipline here. It's based on respect, empowerment, caring, and cooperation. Learn the power of positive discipline practices and techniques. So if, and then the child's behavior, then the child's response. We're talking about consequences here. And instantly, for me as a parent, I always think of consequences as a negative thing, but consequences don't have to be negative. They can be negative and positive. So when a child performs a behavior, a response indicates to the child that the behavior was either good or bad. The response to the behavior then is the consequence. So if, you know, my child comes home on time and follows that curfew and is respectful of those boundaries, then I'm going to have a great response to her. Hey, I saw you were 5 minutes early. You beat your curfew. Way to go. Let's see if we can do better next time, you know, kind of make it a little game. Or if you see a negative behavior, then you're going to have, you know, that negative response or that negative consequence. Something I used to always tell my son when he was younger, you're free to make your own choices, so that behavior, but you're not free of the consequence of that choice. So that would be the response, and it can be positive or it can be negative. 3 types of consequences. We have our natural consequences. They happen all by themselves. Those are the easiest ones, right? You're jumping on the couch. Yeah, you're jumping on the couch, you fall off. There's your natural consequence, you know. The logical consequences are planned and thought out. They have a direct link to that child's behavior. You know, you have kiddos and they're running around with the Nerf guns and they're shooting each other with the Nerf guns and they're not supposed to, then you take the Nerf guns away, right? And then you have those random consequences that have no direct connection to a child's behavior and tend to be giving out impulsively. Sometimes I struggle with this one for having a teenage daughter. And it seemed to always be the cell phone. So it didn't matter the behavior. I knew that taking that cell phone hit home the hardest, and it was always the cell phone, even if it didn't have a direct connection to what she was doing wrong. So those I really try to stay away from, but we take a deep dive into this and, you know, think of all these different scenarios where they would come up and where things would work and where they might not work. So understanding children's growth and development, an overview of children's growth and development, and understanding the importance of nurturing and creating predictable family routines. One of Megan's favorites.
With the milestones, we start at 3 months, 6 months, we go all the way up to 18. So you want to set your children up for success in successful environments. So you want to know like what to expect when they're 18 months, or what to expect if we're trying to potty train a 6-month-old and then we're getting frustrated because the child's not successful. Oh, Pi is your new best friend. So these are all the developments plus language. So language falls into every single one of those, but physical development, which is gross motor, fine motor. So each week we would dive deep into each one of these: intellectual development, emotional development, and social development. The bigger the feelings you have from these children, the bigger emotions you're going to have as well at home. And developing personal power and keeping kids safe, increasing parents' awareness of the importance of empowering children as means of discipline and safety, and understanding the importance of building children's self-worth and creating a safe home environment. Self-worth is definitely not, you're not born with it. So the more you're around it, the more you feel and the safer you feel. Safety from physical harm, safety from emotional harm, and safety from sexual harm, keeping your children supervised. And we dive deep into the self-concept, the way we think about ourselves, and then self-esteem, the way we feel about ourselves, and then the self-worth, the overall thoughts and feelings about ourselves. And this will start at birth with children, like how we treat them and how we talk to them and how they feel about themselves and their confidence. And then the self-worth chart, the family, community, school, employment, and self. This is a great one too during this, oh, right here. Yeah, you can go to that next slide. Those are that's the module, this last one that we're on right now. We have speakers like CADY will come and present the week. We have Voices Against Violence and the Child Advocacy Center. We have a kinship support group the first Wednesday of every month from 10 to 11. This kinship is grandparents again, their aunts and uncles raising children that are not biologically theirs. They come in, we have some donuts or coffee, and it's a roundtable discussion, and we offer resources to them, and it's great. And it takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Thank-
several partnerships throughout the community.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Megan and Aaron. I encourage you all to sign up for this parent course. I have implemented only a little bit of some of the tools that they shared with me. And they have been a game changer for my 5-year-old. And it's really an opportunity. These classes are an opportunity to meet and be in the presence of other parents who are going through similar situations. And that's very invalidating. And we're very, very fortunate that Central New Hampshire and New Hampshire as a state offers a lot of resources. But we're very fortunate to have Aaron and Megan with us too. So I know that we're at an hour at 8 o'clock. We do have a couple more slides, and we're going to be going over some actual resources. So please feel free to stay with us. We'd love to show you these, and then we'll have some questions later. All right, so we will be sending you all of the resources we have discussed this evening, as well as having resources readily available at local schools, and as well as CADY and Whole Village. So there are many websites with resources that are easily searched and or set up like an index, and that makes it really easy to navigate. So this resource, this kind of Venn diagram, we're going to be sending to you all. Aaron and Megan, and as well as other community partners, helped make this this resource. So it's really goes to show what we already have in our communities right now. That many, I actually didn't really know some of these resources that we had. So we were able to really collaborate and combine all of them on one page, which is great. And this will be a PDF, and it all has links directly to each website. So that will be a great resource for everyone. One of the real big ones is New Hampshire State website, the 211. Or you can even call 211. And this is pretty much, it has everything under the sun. In New Hampshire, the finewellnh.org is more centrally region focused. But we have really developed this quick visual to make it as easy as possible for people to go to, oh, I'm from Lincoln Woodstock. What do I have? What's offered in my community? All right. And some of the best places are local libraries to go to, as well as elementary and high schools. These are all very important places to find resources. There are also school counselors or family liaisons in schools who could really help navigate resources, and even can help people call or to connect with other people for these resources. So please make sure to call and ask for a person who can help with family services, or even ask or answer questions about local resources. What would be best for you? All right. We also worked on New Hampshire-based resources. So these are all a collective New Hampshire base that are offered right here in our state. So this is we did do a alphabetical, so that will be easier for everyone to find. But these are fabulous agencies, fabulous resources that are already here and ready for us to utilize. this also, we have national resources. So this is just that extra, that next step. We have that One Pill Can Kill from the DEA. The Search Institute is fabulous. They have 40 developmental assets, which is fantastic. Those are like those protector factors. Above the influence, there are the Trevor Project, Operation Parent, which is fabulous. They offer workbooks that I'll be showing in a moment. So these resources are amazing, and everyone could just poke around here for a while. This is maneuvering the maze, because if we have all these resources, sometimes it can be really hard to know where to start. So this resource guide, it was actually published in 2022, but it's a very large document, but they have an index. So they have a table of contents as well as an index to help get to the resource that we really want to look at that time. So this is something that I encourage everyone to link into, and this will be also in the resource packet. These are parent handbooks. So this will be, we have these at CADY. This is offered by Operation Parent. Phenomenal resources. They have the parent handbook from elementary school age as well as high school age. They also have Spanish translation that is offered. So please reach out. Let us know if you would like a copy of this. I will be bringing these parent handbooks to the parent education course when we present. I believe Aaron and Megan also have these workbooks that are just amazing. All right. We do want to share a couple of upcoming events in the area. We soon will have National Take Back Day, which I talked about a little bit before, and that's April 27th. So please check your local PD for more information. We have the Family Resource Center has the Whole Brain Child coming up. That's going to be a fantastic learning series for parents. We have the Polar Caves is hosting the New Hampshire Food Bank on April 26th. And we also have Climb Above Addiction on May 4th, and that's going to be at the Plymouth Town Common, and it's really a family fun day. And please be on the lookout in school newsletters for the annual Parent Shout Out event, which happens in November. So that's what we have coming up. And we just want to close this evening with the African Maasai tribes greeting Kasarian and Gira, and how are the children? That's what that means. And it really focuses on the well-being of our children. So with youth mental health crisis, our children really need us more than ever. So it's really up to us to answer that call. And really that an ounce of prevention for our children is more critical today than ever before. So thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. Please be on the lookout for more information to follow. And thank you so much. We do have a quick evaluation that I'll be putting in the chat box. But please contact us. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions. We'd love to answer. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.